That's so insane.
How we hear the world and the fact that sound influences us is something we're really still at the real foundation of studying. There's so much we do not know.
Oh yeah, it's like holding it on that side.
Oh, there you go. I can see it.
We tried to come up with a project that would let us use music, specifically hip hop, to better understand questions of how do we bring people together with music.
So much that we're used to every day in terms of sound. Whenever sound is created, it requires the interaction of two entities. The entities can be of the same material, states of matter. It can be two solids. In a quiet environment, all the air molecules are equally spaced apart. If you hit something that's very thin, a material that has very little density, think a spray can with a little ball in it. So as that little ball hits it, that can side of the can is going to vibrate, and that vibration is going to create the frequency of the sound. The high part of a sound wave, the peak, that's high concentration of air molecules. And then those low areas, that's the trough, that's the valley, that's little or no air molecules. And so you get this sound waves that travels through space. We just talked about how loud is the sound. So when you think sound amplitude, think loudness. When you hear frequency, think pitch. And so what we're going to do with frequency is measure how many of those sine waves there are in 1 second. So hertz is the number of cycles per second. We're not sensitive to all frequencies. So human beings have a range of hearing from 20 hertz or 20 cycles per second all the way up to 20,000 cycles per second. So imagine trying to draw 20,000 sine waves in the span of 1 second. But speech is in the range of about 2,000, depending on the type of voice a person has, from about 2,000 to about 4,000 to 5,000 hertz. And that's our frequency range. And that hole in your ear, it's changing shape. And it was designed for that 2,000 to 4,000, 5,000 hertz range. But as we're getting older, we're losing our sensitivity to sound. So we need things to be loud because our ears, well, they're the connection to the world for sound. It's every part of our life. Imagine trying to go through life without being able to hear.
I want y'all to give it up for Marcy. Yeah!
Since a little man, when they used to call me Shorty, I've been ballin' with the homies. Since a little man, when they used to call me Shorty, I've been ballin' something like a middleman. Hope you something like a ceiling fan. Hopefully you don't sell a gram. And I'm hot like a summer jam. T-shirt like a muscle man. Graham short, gotta call the fam. That word like I tried again. Times that, now times again. Now what am I worth? And here with the earth, they're looking at me and a living curse.
As I approached you about this project, about being an artist collaborator in the Art and Science Incubator, you naturally came to mind for me because in my research, I'm looking at empathy, community building, community problem solving. And on top of that, you founding Culxr House, how you're coming at this project and your understanding.
I'm spontaneous sometimes, so if it's something that's different and it just strikes some interest, I'm like, okay. The thing that stood out the most was like science and music and the collab. Well, I went to Arts and Science, Institute, right? Because I went to school for a sound engineer. Use the education that I learned in a different way, you know what I'm saying? And just kind of more showcasing like I'm more than just like an artist. I'm Marcy Yates, hip hop artist, producer, and the founder of the Culxr House. You gotta have 8 streams of income. You gotta have some hustle to you. It was called the New Age hustle, is what me and my brother used to call it, He introduced me on underground hip hop, my brother Jeff. So the thing about the music that he introduced me to always had a conscious perspective. I would just be left in his room with all his music, so I would just go through tape, fast forward. If I liked it, I'd rewind it. Exposure is like everything, right? What are you exposed to at an early age? Music really hits my spirit. And I've come to find out that it's like very mellow and chill. And my goal is to go out to LA, but it don't work like that. Everybody's story is different, you know what I'm saying? So Marcy let me back here, you know. I felt like I had learned enough, you know. I felt like I learned something that I want to bring back to Omaha, right?
When him and I were meeting, me trying to understand what questions he has as an artist, and how do we as psychology researchers facilitate maybe answering questions that would be helpful for him as an artist. How sound frequency affects people. How do we tackle that question? You know, this is something that the artist is genuinely interested in. It's where we came up with the idea of using one of his original songs and having him remaster it in a lower sound frequency.
Pouring retro Jordan couldn't step. Rest assured my mental store with dreams that seemed as far as fetch. Dog, we hunt the stars until accessible is handicap. Hand been gripping wheel. I built my lane from looks that kill. My heart sustained throughout the hills. That ghetto boy from Emmettville. God is trill. Why else would life be so muddy? Dust your shoulders, shit get cruddy.
We're actually gonna use your music with one of the scientists on campus because they got a sound plate.
Okay.
So we're gonna see if we can like hook your music up to see if like your music generates like a unique shape, like a sound plate by breaking it down.
Oh wow, that's wild.
So we're using one of your songs, you know, asking you to like readapt it to look at this specific aspect. So look at a lower sound frequency effect to test if, you know, it does have a different effect on people.
In the study, we're going to have people randomly assigned to either hear Marcy's original version of the song or the remastered version of the song, focusing on lower hertz. In other words, it's going to have those lower pitches are going to generate a more negative mood. But the beautiful part of the study is we're going to be able to compare people who listen to the original version, but also compare people's experiences over time by having them listen to one of the versions twice.
Nothing was ever real. With the homies since a little man. When they used to call me Shorty, I've been ballin'. I've been ballin' with the homies since a little man. When they used to call me Shorty, I've been ballin'.
We might not be getting the depth of reaction connection in that first listening session. So that's really what, you know, spurred us to say we really want to have 2 listening sessions. Doing an online study provides us with the opportunity to get really like cast that wide net and get a lot more data for this initial round to this study, and then potentially building off of that in another iteration.
Focusing on hip hop music, all this music has deep meaning in it. And we wanted to capture, is there a difference between people who have this high need for cognition, this need to really scrutinize and understand music on this deep level, and people who perhaps have a lower need for cognition, who are more just trying to feel through the music. So that's one of the elements that we are trying to capture. Does familiarity with the music make us like it more? Going back to this mere exposure effect, which is this general idea that as we come into contact with things for the first time, we have a general neutral or negative response to it, but as we get exposed to it more and more, we increase our liking and familiarity with it. Interacting with other people, not just ideas, we grow to be more familiar with them, we empathize with them more, and we understand them, or at least feel like we understand their perspective better. So we were trying to capture all of this in one experiment.
I study auditory perception, and one thing we know is the more experience that you have playing an instrument, the very big impact it has on how you hear sound. So is this the artist trying to fine-tune things so that it sounds good to them, but then to the rest of us who are not musical experts really isn't going to make a difference? Or is it really going to make a difference? Because the one thing that we know about auditory perception is we don't know much. And so I would not be surprised if we end up finding the total opposite of what we would have expected. And that's the great thing. That's how science progresses, is you do a study and you look and you see the effect and you think it's going to have a small effect. It turns out it has no effect, or a massively large effect.
I tell you what, I took my money from this pitch contest. I did 2 of those and I finished last every time. But every time with this I did finish last every time. They couldn't see the vision, so therefore they didn't invest in it, right? And when people can't see it, they can't fund it, and they can't support it either. So anyways, they did give me $1,000 though, and that was a down payment I put on this building. After doing a couple music festivals, like learning from that, I was given an opportunity to come down on 24th Street, where we at now, at the Culxr House. We were just incubating, trying to jumpstart things here on 24th Street because we knew a rebuild was coming. We got the Forever North plan for the streetscape. I was in those boardrooms, right, when they're coming up with those plans on what the new vision would be for North Omaha. So with me being an artist, yeah, I can address the needs of the artists like easily, right? I know what they need. I went through it. I'm an artist. You need space, studio, recording time, somewhere to perform, access to resources so you can upload your music, right? So you can shoot videos, right? Create content, right? All things artists need, and also pay, right? At Culxr House, what we want to do is, try to expose artists to those other things that's in the community too. As artists, we are supposed to reflect the times, right? This is substance here, you know what I mean? No matter what forces are against you, it doesn't matter. But if the people rock with you, right? You know what I'm saying? By the numbers, then like others gotta rock with you. You know what I'm saying? In 2019, we did our grand opening. We did our celebration, and COVID happened right in 2020. The summer got hot. George Floyd got killed, and protests were happening all around the country, and they were happening in the city here.
Hip hop can bring people together with its strong social justice messages and with its ability to communicate deeper meaning than simply the music. Although the music is a way of communication, there can sometimes be explicit or even subversive messages within music.
Culxr House opened the doors to, training, being a safe space for those conversations to heal, to talk about action, to go out there, and do something about it. People thought we were like a just protest, like that's what we did, right? And it's like, nah. We're an arts and culture organization, right? We started gaining momentum in terms of like just on the art scene. But now we're in the same conversations with all the biggest, the most funded organizations, right? But the funding still ain't the same. So don't get it twisted. The next phase, right? That took us to another level. You know what I mean? Like you ain't never heard no nonprofit dropping a record, right? Southern Creek Records reached out and they wanted to do an album. That's how the Freedom Summer record came about. To do this, you gotta be an artist, you gotta be an entrepreneur, you gotta be a recording artist, you gotta be an engineer, you gotta be a producer, like you gotta be a father of 3, 2 baby mamas, like you gotta have no parents. Music is only like half of this shit, you know what I'm saying? It really is, you know what I mean? The other half is experiencing and being able to accept what you're going through and knowing that there's something bigger in store for you. But the mission has always been bigger than myself.
One version of Marcy's song and the other version is a lower frequency. And once they listened to that, they answered a series of questions. So some of those had to do with their depth of hip hop knowledge, how many hip hop artists they recognized or listened to. There were questions about their state anxiety, how they felt after they listened to the music, and then also just how they initially reacted, if they emotionally connected to it.
We had 113 people who finished the study. 160 people reached the end of the study, which means those 3 people probably just didn't click the last button and move on. So we're using that 113 people as our number.
So it makes sense to me that like in the lower frequency, they reported like that they were more irritated, that we gave them listen to it again.
It's my bio, right? In terms of, is there accolades in there?
No, so we like purposefully kept it like sterile of like that
Because
connection.
people listen differently too when there's a facade.
Yeah.
Right. So if you already think that this person is popular or someone, then you'll accept it more than versus. Well,
That's good, yeah.
versus this is a nobody, right?
Yep.
So if they were to know that, well, okay, right, this guy has 15 musical awards. He's won 6 OEA awards. He's done this, and this, right?
One of the great things about doing research at Bellevue is there's the student population who are also interested in doing research. And these students are studying things that nobody in the entire world has ever studied before. And Bellevue University is fantastic about supporting the students. And these are international conferences where they are standing with experts in the field.
One thing that really drew me towards Bellevue was the fact that they had non-traditional students and traditional students as part of the student body. So when I get to interact with students, I get to collaborate with people who can be 17 years old all the way to 70 years old. And it is a very cool environment to work in because you have so many different backgrounds and perspectives on things.
I think that's how science progresses, is you do a study, and you look and you see the effect and you think it's going to have a small effect, it turns out it has no effect or a massively large effect. And maybe that just sounds just so awesome to us. And what sounds like simple music actually turns out to be really complex to the human ear. That's great research. Great research will create more questions than it will ever answer.
And that really, I think, is one of the creative aspects of science that we get to merge with art, is that science, like art, can be an iterative process. It can be a process where we learn as we go, and then we change things with perhaps what sounds good as we continue to build on this project. It gives us a lot of freedom to be creative with how we ask and answer these questions.
Say what it feel like. Gotta look both ways at the light. Try to press gas at a stop sign. Might run up on her with a Glock 9. Feeling like it's sunshine. Might put a heat this one time. Might put a 3 this one time. Just might hit the leak this one time. My living is great, my gram is straight. I praise the Lord every day. Bridges made, can't complain. Make a road, pave my lane. Pick the speed, I'ma stick and cruise. Enjoy all the moments that I've been through. Looking at something that I choose. Understanding what you should do. Inherit the earth, but what is it worth? A bottle of pills, been stunting since birth. Mama, your purse, son in the hearse.
Any like struggle points, or like where are we getting to?
I thought Jerome was a black.
Ain't seeming the word. Inherit the earth, but what is it worth? A bottle of pills, been stunting since birth.